So I use my imagination a lot in my paintings, and I I don't know if it's ever happened that I've seen a photograph of something and tried to copy it on a canvas, but I certainly regularly use information from nature or from some photographs, reference photographs that I have. Particular shapes or particular feelings. Okay, here's a photograph that I got. My sister sent me this years ago. She was a nurse in Bella Bella off the west coast of British Columbia. And what I like so much about it, I'm going to use it. Okay, I'm going to use some of the shapes in there. I'm going to remove this one, and I'm going to remove this one. And we're going to play with some of the shapes that are there. Because we all have these preconceived notions of what's a tree shaped like. Well, you run out of Zoom, you run out of Yahoo, you run out of energy. You start to fall into that thing of, well, evergreens are all triangular, and then you've got the round top on the deciduous trees, and then there's a trunk in the middle, etc., etc. But what I like about this area is that it's such a tormented area. It's perpetually wet. It's oceanside, and very marshy, and these trees are battered. They have had a very rough life. It's But look at all the interesting shapes there are on here. So I'm going to pick a few of them and use that for where the trees meet the sky. I was planning on using a knife. I'm still not sure. But I'm going to set this photograph down to my left here. And I'm going to take a hunk of charcoal for starters and just sort of get a bit of a notion of what I want. I haven't even got a plan for down here yet. There may be water, there may be rocks, there may be something. Don't care. What I care about right now is building an interesting line, a bunch of lines, and shapes along here. Okay, I'll stop saying maybe I'll just get to work on it. See, just out of the blue, that's a tree, or a cluster of branches off of a tree. You wouldn't, and that's it. You wouldn't necessarily think of painting that in that way. And yet there it is, plain as day, in nature. Let's do a spire, a trunk, a dead trunk coming out there. Now let's allow ourselves a bit of a crown. And let's join this crown with this weird shape up here with some foliage. And let's cut down and cut back up again to something that would be maybe a little more traditionally Christmas tree shaped. And then we go off the canvas. There are a lot of dead trunks here. Let's not forget them. They add a lot of scariness to the scene. This is one of those scenes where, we don't mind some scariness. It's going to be a gloomy painting. Let's not just have one by itself. Let's have it joined with another. I think we can do something in here as well. More trunks. This bottom line is more or less more or less where we don't see any more sky below that. And for some crazy reason, there is what? A very happy, strong hemlock here? Is that it? I don't know. It's very fat though. And there's probably some bush in front of it. Trunk there, not going to worry about it. We're just, for the moment, we're back to doing sort of a silhouette. I'm drawing with my charcoal stick on fairly wet stain. I did not allow the stain to dry. I stained it yesterday and, well, I'm not going to wait. I want to get back to work on this. Okay. Another crown with a trunk. Goes to a trunk and a bit of foliage below it. And foliage below that. And I think I'd like to lay in another trunk right there. Now we'll cut back down. Maybe we'll have a fairly triangular one there in the distance. I think we could do something here too. But to fill in that lower part a bit. So it's kind of funny because you have all these dead and dying trees, very few healthy ones. But they all seem to be doing, you know, they have their symbiotic relationships going on and they seem to do okay. And this is as much an exercise as anything. You know, kind of reminds me that you go into nature and man, you're gonna realize how many different tree shapes you forgot or didn't dare to do, you know? You have to be bold. Oh, stop it. I'm gonna get rid of that phone. I guess my wife picked it up. Might be my daughter. She had vehicle problems today, so brought her to the garage this morning. She might be calling to get for us to go and get her car. I don't know. We will see. These branches, they kind of droop down like that. Okay, I like that. I like that. Now, if I did not pick up this actual documentation of a line of trees, I would really struggle to come up with something as interesting as this. I know that through the camera, you're not seeing what I'm seeing, and it's probably a little more boring looking for you. But I'm going to make it a little clearer. Now we're going to clean up. Hopefully clean up. Hopefully we don't make a bigger mess. Now we're going to take some burnt sienna and ultramarine blue. Flick off the extra charcoal. Not that much will come off because the canvas, as I said, is a bit wet still. And we're going to with this brand new brush, we're going to make our lines a little stronger. Okay. Time to change some, disregard some, and add some. In the spirit of the first one that I liked, this is not exactly what's there, but I think it's pretty good. I think I can make that. I think that's interesting enough already. So we'll try to do that. I like this one as well. I like the notion of, you have to have some trunks and bits of tree behind others. Keeps it interesting. I think that's a good place for that. Some tortured trunk. I will make them fatter than they ultimately will be, because I'm going to be cutting around these trunks with paint. With, again, as I say, a brush or a knife. I'm starting to feel like this is going to be brush painting, because there's going to be a lot of cutting around this and that for things to work. And with a knife, it might not be that effective. Plus, it'll be a lot of extra work. Let's do that. Let's do this. I don't want them too straight. Some are okay if they're a bit straight, but I don't want them too straight. Bit of a hook to that one. Okay. I like our little crown here as well. We'll do that. That's a void. That is a void. It's not a space. But some of these things, I know in my own imagination, in my own mind, what I want, and you of course can't know that until we get into the actual painting a little further. So some of these shapes and what have you might look a little odd to you. Don't worry, there's a plan for them. There's always a plan for them. Even if it's completely wrong. At least there's a plan. I don't know. I've always been kind of drawn to ravaged nature. It just has so much more character than the quote unquote pretty stuff. Nature showing its wild side to me is just far more interesting. Okay, so we'll do this, that. That'll be something along those lines. We'll come up like this. And like so. Mix up a little more of my dark stuff here. Okay. Yeah, I like that trunking behind there a little bit too. Really likey. And there are so many broken branches that are broken off of the trunks of these. You can always put little, I like to put little bumps everywhere on them because that's how it is in nature too. You get just remnants of the old branch. You get these little pokey outy things out of the side of the trunks a little. It gives them a bit of texture. It gives them a little more interest. Okay. I'm just tracing my own mistakes or successes. We'll see which they are once we get further into the painting. Yeah, I don't mind a little bit of triangle stuff in behind there. And one here that's suffered some abuse at the hands of the wind. Okay, so hang on a minute, guys. Okay, good. So it's ready.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm glad you got the phone answer. Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, we'll see you then.
Yeah, see you then. Make sure that you leave my car for you.
I'm taking coffee.
Yeah, but she's got my car. So when she drives it here.
Yeah, we'll bring the car keys in.
Yeah, yeah, it's just one key. This is a swimming pool too, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll do that.
Back again. Yes, my wife is going to pick up my daughter so I can get my car back. I'm tempted to put this in here, but I don't mind. I don't mind the general upsweep and then down again. I don't mind. I don't mind that at all. This is a hole. This is a no. This is a hole. This is a hole. This is a hole. Do I really want that much of a hole there? I'm not convinced I do. In behind here, that could be distant bush, you know? Sort of almost the color of the sky, but not quite. That sort of thing. Branches. Bramble. That's one thing there's a lot of. Okay, that I could just have that distance. It's very feasible and reasonable to leave that distant. Bit of trunk showing in the foreground here. Oh, okay, we'll see. I'm fussing a little bit now, so actually I would like to show this as being proud of that and that. Standing proud of the other. Okay, I'm going to spend some time now pondering what I'm going to do from here down. I don't even have to decide just yet. I could actually go right into the sky. But for the moment, I don't think we'll do that. Anyway, panoramic shape, a bit of a panorama. Let me square the camera off so again you can see more accurately and proportionately what I'm looking at. Okay, simple, but hopefully interesting shapes will come from that. I don't have to finish my drawing. I can just do it one bit at a time. See you soon.